Hello! Today we're going to be talking about morphology in science. Now, what is morphology? Maybe you're thinking, I don't know what that word means, morphology. But maybe you're also thinking, I bet I could break that word down into smaller pieces, and maybe I know parts of that word. Like, I know the word morph because I love reading Animorphs, the books, right? So now I know a little bit more about what this word means, right? So we're going to do that in the context of science. We're going to look at some words and we're going to figure out what they mean. So first, the thing you might hear me call this is root words. So let's see. Ooh, my marker's not working. Root words. Ooh. So the parts of words, there are three parts that we're going to kind of focus on. It's okay, this is just science class. I'm not going to test you on what they all mean, but I'm going to show you what they mean, okay? So we've got your prefix. You have your root and your suffix. So for example, in a word like cooperate, you have co, and then ate, right? So co, I missed one of my brackets. Co is together. Oper probably means working, and this is me just making this up, right? We're not into the science yet. And then ate is like a process. We're going to cooperate together. So you look at the word, you break it down, and it can tell you something more about what the word means. We're going to work on this in the context of science, so let me pull up some science words real quick. Okay, I've pulled up two words here. We have adhesion and cohesion. Now, if you're like me, it's like, wow, that's a really sciencey word she pulled up there. But I can see some things, some ways are similar and different. So let's make a good old-fashioned Venn diagram. Wow, you cannot see that. Let's try that again. I'm going to use my trusty blue marker. So we have the word adhesion and cohesion. How are they similar? I see they both have this hesion. Wait, I kind of messed up on the ad. And this hesion, right? So we're going to put hesion in the middle. But cohesion has a co. Adhesion has an ad. I want you to pause the video and figure out what these words mean really quick. Okay, we're back. Adhesion. This is a really complicated type of concept for you to understand in science because they're both, in this context, talking about how water molecules interact with each other. There's two ways. They can stick to each other or they can stick to other things, right? So adhesion is when water sticks to something else. You know when you're looking at that kind of a beaker and you got your water in it and it has that meniscus. I don't know if your science teacher has told you that word. That adhesion is where the water is sticking to the edge of the glass. And that's water's property of sticking to other things. Cohesion is where water sticks to itself. So that would mean, you know how you can, those water skimmers, they skim across the water and they can kind of walk on water. That's because the water is sticking to itself so much that it's making surface tension. So now you know hesion, right? Like hesion is kind of sticking together, right? So you have adhesion, sticking to something else, and cohesion, like you're cooperating, like I said before, working together, sticking together to itself. So we just broke that word down, and now we know a little bit more about it. Let's try another word. All right, we have two more words here, convergent and divergent. If you're thinking about Earth's crust and how plates move around, sometimes we talk about different boundaries where two plates meet. And sometimes these plates come together and sometimes they come apart. Now pause and think which one of these words means that the plates are coming together and which one of these words means that the plates are coming apart. Hopefully you got it right. Convergent is when they're coming together and divergent is when they're moving apart. Let's try another one. Okay. Now we have two more words. Here we're talking more life science and we're talking about different animals and how they get their food, even though I just gave away one of the answers. So here I'll give you the back end, the suffix of this word. For both of these words, we have troph, okay? Troph. So Troph means nourishment or food or energy. So we have two different things, and it's talking about how these types of species work with their energy. One of them is an autotroph and one of them is a heterotroph. So pause the video and answer this question for me. What do each of these words mean? All right, auto means self. Hetero means other or different. So an autotroph feeds themselves. They get food, troph, this is like nourishment, from themselves. A heterotroph gets nourishment from something else. So an example of an autotroph would be a plant. And an example of a heterotroph would be you and me. We eat things to help us survive. And we figured it out by decoding that word. Okay, you just learned one of these root words just a minute ago, hetero. So we have heterogeneous and homogeneous. These two, auto and hetero, in the context of autotrophs and heterotrophs, was talking about where they get their food. But we have a little root word in the middle of this word that helps us understand we're not talking about food anymore. We're talking about whatever this gene means. Okay, I gotta find where I can, oh, here we go. Whatever gene means, okay? So what does gene mean? So gene means like origin, birth, right? So it's talking about kind of where something came from. So we know hetero means different, right? Hetero means different. And then what do you think homo means if I just told you that they were opposites? Homo means same. So these two words are actually talking about how mixtures are made. So you have a heterogeneous mixture, that means it's composed of lots of different things, or you have a homogeneous mixture, in which that means it's all composed of the same thing. You can always count on hetero and homo to help you understand, are we talking about different things or the same thing? Homo sapiens were the same as other sapiens. So that's something that can help you decode that word. Okay, this last set of words is very applicable to us in the age of COVID-19. We have epidemic and pandemic. Let's look again at that root word in the middle. So we got dem. Dem. Where have I heard dem before? I've heard dem in demographics. Demography, that's like the same word. But what is demographics about? It's about people. Another way you can remember dem is demos, people. So we're talking about people here. You kind of can remember it like dem. Who are they? But it's people. So you've got epi and pan. Now, we just went through a global pandemic, which was huge and kind of unprecedented. So that can help you kind of figure out what this word is talking about. But I can tell you, maybe, why don't you tell me first and then we'll go over it. What does epidemic mean and what does pandemic mean? Make sure you reference your root word sheet. Okay. So epi, I have epidermis, which is the skin, which is on the outside of my body. So epi in this case means on top of or amongst the people and in one spot. Pan means all. So an epidemic is a disease that happens in one area and it stays kind of in that one localized area. But a pandemic is when it spreads to other places and it affects all people. So the epi and the pan can help you figure out what they're talking about. A pandemic is also a much bigger deal. It affects all people. So that's another way to figure that out. I hope this has been helpful for you to figure out how words have different meanings and how we can figure out what they mean by breaking down their prefix, the root word, and the suffix to figure out what these words are talking about. There's a worksheet for you to practice your new skills, as well as a Quizlet set if you want to just study some main science root words to help you figure out all the science vocabulary that you need to do well in your science classes and on your science tests.